And Mike Winklejohn has said, especially now that I suppose the fight's been announced, that Rashad has the tools to beat John. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think everybody has the tools to win, and Rashad certainly does. If Rampage catches you with a big punch, everybody's got the tools to win. Mm-hmm. Rashad Evans is definitely one of the most talented, amazing fighters that I've ever had the pleasure and honor to work with. So, absolutely. Like with that situation, I'm staying out of it. It's not that I don't want to deal with that situation or anything. It's just my principles at this point with those two guys in particular is that I'm going to stay out of their fight until it's done, and then hopefully everybody will shake hands and be friends again.
And define stay out of. Does that mean that you don't train in the gym?
Right. Well, Mike Winklejohn's still going to train John Jones, and I'm sure you can interview Mike as to why that is.
Okay.
But as for Rashad, he's a little upset at me right now because I brought John on the team in the first place. But the facts are that he green-lighted that it was okay. He might have had some reservations or whatever, but he told me it was all right. Otherwise, there's no way I would have let John on the team if somebody says, no, I don't want him on the team, and he's not going to come on the team. Listen, I bring a lot of people on this team, mm-hmm. I've slowed it down of late, but especially at that point, a year or so ago, a lot of people coming on the team, and if I ask team members, listen, do you want this guy on, and they say unequivocally no, then I'm not going to bring him on the team, and that's not what happened in that case. And believe me, everybody's like Brian Stan all the way down. Like these are people that when they come to join the team, I say, okay, whoever's in this weight class, is everybody all right with them joining the team? And they say yes or they say no. And I've turned down a lot of fighters. I'm not going to name names because I'm not that kind of guy, but I've turned down a lot of fighters that I have come and said, listen, this guy wants to join the team. And they're like, no, we're not really comfortable with that. No way. And when they say no way, then they don't join the team.
So Rashad, is it? If I'm hearing you right, that he initially wasn't for it, but then ultimately said
no. I never said that because if he initially wasn't for it, he told me yes. What went on in his own mind at that point, I don't know. But when I had the phone conversation with him, which was right around or after the time he was doing, I don't remember exactly when, the Ultimate Fighter show.
Okay.
He said, that's fine. I still think I'm a great fighter, so yeah, that's fine. And after that, if he harbored, what's the word, reservations, mm-hmm. That may be. But remember that that had worked out itself. I mean, he was here in Albuquerque. They were training together. He helped Bader he helped Jones for Bader, and Jones was helping him for Hua. So it was one of those things where, they were working together and everybody was happy. And then John made a comment and Rashad, his pride was on the line and he had to come back, and it degenerated really quickly. But up until then, everything was okay. They were training together and they were friends.
Interesting. Now, so just to be clear, Greg, so Rashad never told you, I don't want him on the team.
So to be clear, like I don't know how many more times I'm going to say it, but to be clear, if Rashad Evans said to me, Greg, absolutely I do not want John Jones on the team, no way, where in any of my 16-year history would I have been like, oh, you know what, the heck with that, I'm just going to bring him on the team anyway. Okay. Like that, there's nothing about me that says that. I've never done that before. I have never done that since.
So I've also seen people reference the GSP Diego situation like it's the same thing. Can you discuss that and how, what happened there? Because I've seen a lot of references to it online.
Well, and that there again is almost the same situation, and you could talk to Chris Luttrell or Mike Winklejohn about that. Diego initially said that was okay for GSP to be on the team. Diego was, and he can tell you this better than anybody, as he's back on the team now and on a great couple-fight winning streak, but he was the one that said, listen, fame was in my head, and I'm not saying Rashad is like this at all, but this is the Diego case, which is different than the Rashad case. Fame was in my head, and there was a lot of people whispering in Diego's ear, particularly a trainer or two, that really wanted to kind of make a team with Diego and separate, and was actively trying to separate him, and he was getting his teammates upset because he was never there to help anybody else, and he was just worried about himself. So the whole team was really not happy with Diego and very happy with bringing George St. Pierre. So when the entire team asks me to do something, I'm going to do it. Not just one guy, not just two guys, because that can come and go. But like everybody is like, listen, Diego's not helping us. George wants to help. So there's a big dynamic there that is similar in some ways. Where I'm bringing George on the team,
right.
And again, Diego's okay with it. But you can't just like be okay with it and then all of a sudden be like, well, never mind, I'm not okay with it because I've already let him on the team. We've done fights together. You know what I mean? It's more complicated than.
Gotcha. So if I'm hearing you, like when these issues arise of bringing people on, you sit down with the rest of the team and get their temperature and get their approval, and then you
people in their weight class usually. Yeah, people in the weight class, unless other people, because we've had people in the weight class say, "Oh, okay," but then somebody else has a problem with them, and they come in and they say, "Listen, this guy was a real jerk to me," yada yada yada, and I can't have anybody rocking the boat like that. It's a kind of a big deal. And keep in mind that this system has worked very well. Even when Rashad came on with Keith, with all of these fighters come on. We've only had 2 instances of this in the 16 years that I've been doing it, really, on a high level. So it's one of those things that the system works pretty well. Now, the landscape has changed. The UFC is the only game in town. They are actively wanting teammates to fight each other, so I'm not sure what we're going to do about that. I got to get together with the other coaches and the whole team, and we'll put some plans together. But there's nowhere else for us to go, really. And we have to keep our team unity and caring about each other, and so this is a big learning situation for me as the landscape changes. I need to understand and do what's best for the guys, and so I'm trying to learn from this situation as well.
And you mentioned before that this all kind of started when John did that interview on Versus and said he would fight Rashad, which kind of opened the door. Did you, and I think that's what upset Rashad, and then it was like a snowball rolling downhill.
Right.
Were you surprised when he made that statement? Did you have any idea that he felt that way?
No, I had no idea, and I was surprised. I didn't agree with the statement, I was hoping to address it and deal with it, in a way, but it caught me by surprise. Mm-hmm. Hopefully after John's fight, and then it kind of snowballed really out of control really quickly.
Right. So, and I think in that respect, Greg, you and Rashad are on the same page. That was something I know Rashad spoke about should have been dealt with internally rather than externally before it went to the media and before it went national on television. And he mentioned that several times, which made me think that, that's what really kind of got under his skin.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And people make mistakes, and
sure.
I've certainly made my share of mistakes, and nobody's infallible. And so I was hoping to fix that, but that things happen and escalate, and because of that, because I feel like I can't corner against Rashad Evans. I love him to death, and I can't corner against John Jones because I love him to death. I'm going to stay out of it. It's not me sticking my head in the sand or anything like that. I am making like a conscious effort to stay out of it. Now, Mike Winklejohn is going to corner John Jones, as I stated before, and again, you'd have to let Wink talk for himself as to why that's going to happen, and I'm not sure what Rashad's going to do.
Now, when you're not going to corner John, are you going to train him at Jackson's, or do you stay out of that?
Well, yeah, because I'm personally going to stay out of it, but Winklejohn will be training him here.
Right.
And again, as for the if, whys, whens, and buts about all that, I'm not going to speak for any other coach. That's for Winklejohn to tell you. Okay.
And have you and Rashad spoken since all this has happened?
No, he's really angry and really upset, and he kind of went a little negative, and so I'm just kind of staying back.
Gotcha. All right. So on a positive,
but hey, just for the record, I want to say I still love Rashad Evans, and if he comes back tomorrow, it'll always be open arms for me. I'm not one to hold a grudge. He and I have been friends for years and years and years, and I love the guy to death.